Hello everyone, it looks like we're live. Let's make sure we've got some audio going. I'm going to be, assuming this is actually working right now, I'm going to be showing you how to paint realistic fur, but in a fairly easy way while still making it look realistic. One of the main problems that people have when they're painting, do we have audio? Okay, good, we're good. One of the main problems that a lot of people have when they are, cameras are all messed up. I have been rearranging I haven't worked in the studio for live streams in like, what, a month now. So I guarantee you I'm forgetting something important. But anyway, one of the main problems that a lot of people have when they're trying to figure out how to make something look realistic is that they think if I just knew the right color, mine would look realistic too. That is not the case. You just need the right values. So as I go through this, you do not need the same colors as me. You just need to focus on, are your darks dark enough, your lights light enough? That is what's going to make your work look realistic or like a cartoon. That's the dividing factor right there. That, and also, of course, having a well-drawn image. So if your drawing skills aren't amazing, trace. You'll improve your drawing skills so much more than like drawing something and having it look kind of terrible and then trying to paint that. Like, you're not really learning as much. Trace. There are videos, there are people out there who say if you trace, you'll never learn to draw. It's absolutely not true. I've been teaching this method since the 90s. Trust me, it works. We also have from Kristen, we are starting off good for the boys. Did they realize? We've got a super chat. Says treats for, or Kirsten, I'm sorry, I never get your name right. Treats for the doggos just to get us started. Look at, do you guys know? Do you want a super chat? Okay, come on. I know you haven't had super chats in forever, huh? Okay, back up. One of the things I forgot is to order reasonably sized cookies. Right now for them, I have their Oreo style, and that is way too much for super chat, so I have to break these. Stop shoving me. Gibson's shoving me with his snoot. But they also have to separate them because Wade can't have peanut butter, and one of these has peanut butter, so Wade gets the light colored one. No mixing these up. Don't eat brothers. Has peanut butter. Cannot have. Thank you so much, Kristen. Okay, boys, go lay down. Lay down. Wade, lay down. Down. No, not. So I don't know if you can tell this, but Wade's idea of laying down, he laid right next to me. I mean, part of me says it's fine. No, you're licking the carpet now. Go lay down. Get in your bed. Not there. Get up. Get up. So I didn't see this as being a problem. Come on. Go and lay in your bed. In your bed. There you go. One of the problems I'm going to have with this is Wade likes the carpets that I put in here. He thinks they're suitable as a bed. So he's like, lay down. Okay, I'll just lay flat where I am. Anyway, let's move on. Okay. So I have pre-painted my canvas black. Actually, it's like black and indigo because it was just whatever was on my palette at the time, just to save time. And I drew everything out first. Now, you can make a blurry background, and I'm going to do a really quick version of that. But this is definitely a do as I say, don't do as I say, not as I do. There we go. I knew I'd get that eventually. Because what I normally would do is the entire background and then draw the subject on. The problem is drawing that subject on, even though I'm using tracing and transfer paper, which I'll explain in just a moment if you're new, that still, like time-wise for a live stream, was going to be an issue. So I've pre-done this with tracing and transfer paper. So what I did is I traced the image. You can well, you can't really see. I traced the tiger onto tracing paper. Hence the word tracing. And then I use transfer paper and a stylus, and you just go over it, and that gets your image onto your canvas. Now, I don't want my canvas to be solid black. I mean, it's not solid black. It's technically black and indigo. But so I have to be careful as I go through here. I'm going to end up getting paint over where the tiger is going to go. It's inevitable. Inevitable. Just to get it smooth, it has to go behind the tiger. But I still have my tracing. So when I blend this and I mess up, when I say mess up, it's just you have to do that. I have to make it look like it goes behind the tiger. I can use my tracing and transfer paper and put it back in place, and we'll see how that goes depending on how much my background shows. But I do want to get something in my background. So the colors that I pulled tonight, I've got Quidonkadonk Magenta, because we all know I can't say that, so we're just going to go with Quidonkadonk. And I've got Red Oxide. I've got Mars Black. Putting way too much out on my palette for most of these colors. And I've got some raw sienna. And all the supplies I'm using are listed in the video description. This is a glass palette, so it just scrapes with the razor blade, which makes it very easy to to clean. Oh, I didn't get my white out there. I've got primary blue just because it was convenient. Heather asked, when using transfer paper, how do you hide the lines with the paint? I did an eagle and I swear I can see the transfer lines. Thicker paint, it should cover that. I've not really, I mean, occasionally you'll see a little bit. I just put more paint over any area that it doesn't cover. If the paint is over it, you just need more paint. If the transfer lines, you just didn't cover that area with paint, you can erase it. But if there's paint over it, you're gonna need thicker paint. So let me go ahead really quick. I need to figure out where I put my white. It's a bigger tube. It's not hanging with the rest of my acrylics. Nope, I found it. My studio is weirdly organized. The problem is I don't always remember where I put things when I was organizing. Okay. Now, when you buy paint, just really quick, I've got this huge tub, it's upside down right now, of Liquitex. If you're not painting constantly, don't get those ones. Get this size. These, the paint will start to dry in it because air gets in there. It's not gonna last that long once air starts getting trapped in there. So if you're painting constantly like I am, you're probably safe to get the bigger ones. I only get this size in white, sometimes black, but usually just the white. Just again, because of the air issue. So when you see me use that, that's not gonna be suitable for most people. Okay, and if you have any questions, go ahead and ask them now. I'll be answering those at the end of the video. Hair in my mouth. Okay, what do I need? I'm going to use a Taklon bristled filbert. This one is this one's a Master's Touch, so it's a generic Hobby Lobby. And I need a mop brush, which is really a powder brush. This is does this one say what it is? I think Real Techniques is the brand of that. I just get them on Amazon. And I'm going to start by mixing a color. Let's get some red oxide in there. I'm going to get some black so it gives me more of a brown. And I've mixed water in there so that it's not too thick. I'm going to pull a little bit of my magenta. Let's start throwing some of that in there. Now, if this starts to dry, all I need to do to make sure it stays wet is take a fine mist sprayer. This is not my normal one. I don't know where my normal one is. I actually don't like this one. Its droplets are way too big. So don't get that one if you have the choice. Don't be like, ooh, look, colors. Yeah, the colored one so far, from what I've experienced, is terrible. I'm just gonna throw that mostly everywhere. I just need to make sure. I would rather cover too much of the tiger than not cover enough. And I've got this thinned down with a decent amount of water. Okay, I'm going to pull a little bit of white in there. Oh, that's a really pretty color. Now, I'm going to have to adjust my color a little bit because it's showing a bit warmer for you. And as always, if you're watching this live and you're within the US, you can bid on this if you want to own this tiger for yourself. The link is in the video description, or you can just go to lachri.com, and that is on the front page. Okay, now I want to make sure I don't get a halo effect. I have a little bit of a halo effect here because I'm not going all the way up against the tiger, and that's the problem when you try to paint around a subject with acrylics that start to dry too fast. So you end up, like, in your rush, missing spots. I'm going to take a little bit of black. Now remember, anywhere where the black is overlapping the white, you're going to get a more grayish tone, so sometimes that's good, sometimes it's not what you want. Just be aware that that is what is going to happen when those two colors meet. Okay, now I'm going to take my mop brush or powder brush. The actual mop brushes for painting, they shed horribly. I hate them. So what I'm doing is just a very light hand. I am not pushing very hard. I want to make sure that blends over the tiger. And I'm not trying to mix the paint. I'm trying to get rid of my brush strokes. That is it. I've got a chunk of paint here that I don't want. Let's just scrape that out. And that actually looks really good. Now, having the black background first made it easier on me because I'm not fighting the white of the canvas. If I was painting this right over white canvas, then I would probably have to put another coat or two to really get my color to look the way that I want it to. So I'm going to dry that brush. You want to clean that. When you clean your mop brush, you only want to dip the tip of the bristles in the water. You don't need to get the whole thing saturated because you should really only ever have paint right on the tips. A quick tip, I see this a lot on online stuff where people will, no, at the same time, there are a million different ways to get the same end. However, let's not make our lives more difficult than it needs to be. This brush is for blending. The end. That is the only thing. Or softening out brush strokes, I should say. I would never, never, ever use this to scoop paint and paint on the canvas, and I see videos doing that all the time, and it is, can it work? Sure. You're wasting paint because this absorbs way too much paint, and it is I almost said, It is a female dog to get all of the paint out of this when you rinse it. You make a hot mess. You're wasting paint. You're wasting your time. It is a mess. There is no benefit to using this brush to apply paint for anything. Apply it with your normal tack-on bristled filbert and then blend it out with this is your better way to go. So again, do those people make pretty paintings? Yeah, they can come out pretty, but they are making their life so much more difficult than it needs to be. I could also mow my lawn by cutting it with a pair of scissors. Is it going to look the same in the end? Possibly. But one way is sure going to take a lot longer and waste a lot of time. So just keep in mind with that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and rinse this, or not rinse this, dry this. Now, luckily, I did put this on thin enough that I can still see my lines. I don't need to use the tracing and transfer paper again. I'm totally fine. But like here, where I see my lines, it's on this side. It's on the tiger. So I just need to make sure. So we go back to that initial question, how do you hide those? I'm going to put the paint on thicker in those areas. So less translucent colors and less water. So next, what am I doing? I just need to pick a spot and start with it. So I'm going to start with the eye. I forgot to draw part of that in. I'm going to take and I'll start with the eye and then work my way out. So let me zoom my reference photo in. I am going to be using my raw sienna. Let's add a bit of white to that. I may have to adjust my camera colors as we go. We'll see. But adding the white is going to make this opaque enough it'll show up against that black background. Now here's the trick to making realistic looking eyes. Right now, it's just flat. If we want to make that look, stop trying to make me make ads for people, YouTube. I don't want to do that to them. If you watch live, I'm not adding in extra ads. So, yeah, Wade's head is upside down on the carpet right there. He's a dork. Anyway, so I'm going to take some of my color that I used on the background that's still wet, and I'm going to start putting in darker colors so it blends. I want the lightest down here at the bottom, and I want the darker colors up top. And this is because the upper eyelid, the way the hair comes out or sticks out there or poofs out, is going to create a shadow right on that portion of the eye. Now I'm going to pull some black. Let's go even darker. Right under the top here. And of course, the center has the black. And then we'll put a highlight or, we'll fuss over that a bit in it later. But let's pull that even a little bit more so it fades. I've got the light coming up farther than I want it to, so I'm going to come back down with some of the dark. I don't care if it's kind of streaky, that just looks like detail in the eye, so I would be okay with that. And this reference photo can be found, the link is in the video description, so I know, I already hear some of you complaining about not having a reference photo. It's linked in the description. And then they'll complain they want it, I've actually had people say they want it, I've had a lot of people say they want it on the screen instead of the dogs. No, they're cute puppies and they want to be included in the live stream. And you can download it and put it anywhere on the screen that you want. Okay, so let's go ahead and let that set. I'm going to start working on the fur around it. So let's block in about where the white is going to be. Now, I don't really need to worry about the fur type right now. I'm going to go ahead and keep using this same brush. Once I get into the thicker fur, I'm going to switch to a rake brush. But right now, let's just block this in. I don't really care about shading. I don't care about pretty much anything. I just want to map out where that light is going to be, especially since I didn't draw it in all the way. And that just helps me for placement later. You need a little bit more water in that white. My white actually has some of my tan color, my brownish colors in there. I don't care. That actually works out easier for me later, so I can put highlights over it and they'll show up. Now, one of the things you keep seeing me do is wipe my brush on this cardboard behind me or behind the canvas. That is so that when I get too much paint on the brush, it just wipes some of it off so it's not so out of control. And this canvas that I'm working on is a Fredrix watercolor canvas board, and just for transparency, this video is sponsored, or I shouldn't say it's sponsored by Fredrix, but they did provide me with the canvas that I am using in this video, so I can share that with you guys. These are super, super smooth. So a lot of what you're seeing me do in getting smooth blending is possible because the canvas is so smooth. If you're using a canvas that has a lot of tooth to it, so like that cheap stuff that I know half of you guys bought at Walmart or Costco, yeah, those are terrible. If you want to kind of fix those, you can put a couple of coats of gesso on it and it makes it a little bit more tolerable to work on, but they're terrible no matter what. So this canvas, the watercolor canvas board, is so smooth. The other thing that I like about the Fredrix canvases is that they don't warp like a lot of them, like Hobby Lobby, Michaels, that generic crap warps so bad. These ones, the 8x10, do not. If you get into the bigger, like 16x20 inch, they can start to warp a little bit. You can flatten them out by putting them into an open frame, and then you're good. But those are the things that I really like with the Fredrix watercolor canvas board versus other brands. Okay, so see how I'm just mopping it out right now? Everything is very flat. I don't care, like it fades. You can see it getting lighter or darker over here. That's not my goal here. It's just mapping it out. I don't care if it's perfect yet. We will work on the shading in a moment. We're just going to get, can I say just to get? Again, we're going to get an idea of where everything is going to go. So the white, actually, I'm getting into bigger areas. I'm going to go ahead and switch to my rake brush. Okay, let's see. Now I have to figure out where I put a rake brush. This is what happens when I clean. Ooh, that's actually a pretty good one. So this one is a silver ruby satin filbert grass comb, it's listed as. It's a rake brush. And so what a rake brush is, imagine your normal filbert. So like this guy's a filbert, my bristles, wait, over the dark you can kind of see, my bristles are like this. What a rake brush is that same thing. So I still have a filbert, so it's the same rounded shape like this, but now the bristles are separated. So one brush stroke, I get a whole bunch of little ones. And that's actually a really good thing. Fly Me to the Moon mentioned there's no way I could paint this in an hour or two. Most people can't. I paint as fast as I talk. That's not an indication of you being better or worse than another artist. Speed is not that, like, don't let that discourage you. Just if you're following along with me, pause the video, catch up, and then push play again when you're caught up, then play a little bit more and pause it and then catch up. Don't feel like you're not very good or you're falling behind or anything like that. Trust me, that it's like me talking. It's just everything has to go fast. Oh, like me kicking my tea. So see what happens as I start adding this in. I want to make sure they're going in the right direction, but look at how I've got little hairs. Let me see if I can zoom in and make this show up. Which palette? Oh, I don't even remember on this one where it is. That one. Let me zoom in a bit and fix the detail. Give me 1 second. I think I can fix so it shows a little bit more clearly. Oh, hold on. This is actually a different camera. See, I'm telling you, I am just out of the loop on this because I haven't done this much lately. Okay, contrast shot. Nope, that's the wrong camera. Face cam 2. Let's see. Whoa, that isn't what we needed. Nope, that's also not good. We're going to try to do a couple of adjustments really quick here to make this look there we go. That's what I'm trying to bump up the sharpness a bit. Saturation looks okay. Contrast is probably fine there, but I've got to figure out how to, we need to fix the shutter and ISO. Nope, too much. A little bit more. That's pretty close. Kind of. I wish you could see a little bit more though. Let me see if I zoom that. Let's save that one and pull this out a bit more. You can kind of see it's more detailed in person, which is always frustrating to me. Let me actually switch really quick. I want you to see, I don't know if it'll show that well in this camera either, the joy of webcams, but I want you to see a bit better the amount of detail. See how many lines are in there? What I need to do is I can't run 2 of these cameras, so it's a problem. Anyway, that's a little tech issue. But there's a lot of little lines, little individual lines with every brush stroke. Now, one of the reasons that the rake brush, people have a problem with the rake brush, is that they're not using enough water. This is going to be the same thing. See how I've got water on my brush and I'm thinning this out quite a bit. I need there to be as much water as, let's say I was doing this on, oh, I can zoom this one back in. A liner brush, how you have to add a lot of water to that. That is the same. Oh, no, not that. It is always such a pain to get anything. There we go. That's better. Okay. Let's go back to where we're zoomed in a bit more. But these are more definite lines than what you're really seeing, unfortunately, on the webcam. Actually, that area, I think, was that supposed to be black? Let's see, that is black. That is black. Okay. And it doesn't, I don't really care if these are exact to the photo. I'm going for close. I just want to make sure I'm overlapping them a bit. I want to make sure they're going the same direction as the fur. Now, areas in here where I start to get into the orange, I'm just going to glaze that over the white. I can't just put the orange tone straight on the black. It won't show up. See here, now I'm covering the white line that I had, the white line from the transfer paper. So there is the white. Then we start getting into a lot of the lighter colors. So let's just start putting those in so that I can glaze over them. Reloading that brush a bit. If you don't have enough water and that's not thinned out well, this brush is not going to work for you. Thick paint does not play nice with a liner brush, or with a liner or a rake brush. And we've got the ear. So I'm going to use tiny little brush strokes where that ear is going to go. Again, all of this is way too light. That's fine. We'll be fixing this when we come on top with the color. But I do, again, you want the direction of the fur going the right way. And some of this in here we'll end up doing with a liner brush. So we're just getting the hint of this. We'll tone a lot of this down. Right now, everything's going to feel way too bright. That's totally fine. Now, with the line drawing that I have in here, I find that if I put too many lines in there, it just gets way too confusing. So I don't have a ton of detail in my line drawing, but I do want to have the general outline of the head. I want that going in the right direction. I want like things in the right place, but I don't need every clump of fur traced in. That's going to make things way more difficult than I want them to be. I am a fan of making things easier on myself whenever possible. Watch how the direction of the fur is going again. I'm not pushing very hard with this brush. If you push very hard with it, it turns into just a normal tack lumber sold filbert. So the fur is a lot smoother in here. I'm not going to do a lot there because I don't really want that to be super hairy looking. Now, what do you do if you don't have a rake brush? Well, I would order one. They're fairly inexpensive on Amazon. Link is probably not in the video description because I don't do my job well, but I need to add that. But I've got a video. If you look up how to use a liner brush in Lachri, it'll come up for you. But let's see, that is black. Yeah, so this is the little hair in here. You can use just your regular tack lumber sold filbert, but you're probably going to be coming in with a liner brush and adding a lot more detail on top of that so that you get those little hairs. And honestly, that's how I normally did animal hair, so it's not like that isn't a perfectly suitable way to go. This is just speeding things along really nicely. And I am telling you, when you start using a rake brush, it's going to feel awkward. You're going to feel like you're terrible at it. And you want to throw it out the window. That it's normal for everybody. You just need to get used to using it. Now in here, see how I'm almost dabbing? The fur is really short and it's aimed at the viewer. So I can just kind of twist and turn this, and I'm dabbing a little bit to break that up. So the fur is super short in here. And watching that direction. Now, I'm not worried too much about my values or anything like that. I will pull my brighter highlights, and then shadows and all of that stuff comes after. Okay, let's see. This area gets black, which means what is happening here? You are going to be white, and you are going this, oh, I need less paint on there. You are going this direction, because you got to change directions and confuse me constantly. One of the big mistakes I see people make is that they will do a few brush strokes and think, wow, that's awesome, it looks just like fur, and then they just keep repeating the same brush stroke, going the same direction over and over again, and now it's not fur at all. I'm gonna reload the brush, add a little bit of water to that. See, every brush stroke, I'm dabbing that on my board behind it. If it's not that, I dab on my easel. You want to dab it somewhere. Otherwise, you're probably going to have way too much paint on that brush. And when you have too much paint, now it is also, just like when you push too hard, it is just working like a tack-on bristled filbert, not a rake brush. I don't care if I cover some of these black spots. We'll be pulling those back in later. The fur is pretty short, but I can still see the direction that we're moving here. Now see how some of this is a bit too bright? I don't care. Seriously, does not matter at this stage. Let's see, we get around the nose. This is definitely the white area. See, I'm just twisting that brush. You can use smaller rake brushes if that's easier for you. I'm just lazy, and so I'm using the same one and just controlling it how I move the brush. That comes naturally the more you use a brush. You'll just get to where the more you paint, the lazier you are. I used to, when I would paint, I would have 25, 30 brushes out every time because I needed a different brush for every single thing. The more you paint, you'll just naturally become lazier and lazier because you get more comfortable with the brushes and you don't need as many out. So your life will get easier the more you do this. You won't even realize it's happening until you're like, wow, I don't have as many brushes to clean today. See how we've got clumps and clusters. So some of these I'm starting to push a little bit harder so that they're not as wiry looking. That fur is a lot thicker. I'm going to reload, add a bit more water to the brush there, so it's still pretty thin. Now here, the fur starts getting a lot longer, and I'm twisting the brush to the side to get thicker clumps there, starting to form that so it's not just the little lines. I'm going to reload that brush. And I'm not trying to cover all of the black. I want some of that to show through so that you can, that's our shadows. Make life easier on yourself. Don't cover all of the fur. His chin hair. So again, watch the direction. Not worrying about shading or anything yet. And this will get easier too when you paint something. Like I painted so many tigers, so I feel more comfortable not to copy the reference photo exactly, just because I've done it a million times and I know I can kind of adjust certain things and it's still gonna look right. So yeah. That's interesting. Brittany, or no, not Brittany. Nick said, looks like a white tiger now. Now, this is fun fact. I know this is not what you said, but we're going to run with that. One of the reasons you will never see me paint an actual white tiger is that they are a man-made atrocity, and I feel so bad for those animals. Do some research into white tigers. That's not something that occurs in nature. It's something that we inbreed all to hell and created these animals that shouldn't be bred because their genetics are so bad. Where do you put them? The zoos don't have room to keep taking them. They're usually deformed. They are always cross-eyed, always. Like they have so many health issues because we made them to so people could go cuddle with a cute baby white tiger, and it is cruel and it is a horrible practice and should never happen. And because of that, I'm so against that industry, because it is an industry. And there's nowhere for the tigers to go. So once, usually the baby white tigers, they're all taken out from the gene pool permanently. Not all of them, but many of them are, and it is horrible, cruel practice. Yeah, and that is why you will never see me actually paint white tigers. They're beautiful, sure, but they shouldn't exist. It is a horrible thing that man has done. Like, yeah. I mean, people will argue that's what we did with purebred dogs, but the thing is, I can have my purebred racing noodle fits perfectly into my home, where tigers, what do you do with an extra white tiger? Because they only want to have people hold them and cuddle with them when they're babies, when they're little. When they get bigger, there's some violence involved. So they can't keep them for that. They're not making money on them anymore. Yeah, do Google the truth behind white tigers. It is horrible. So yeah, that is why you will never see me take photos of them either. So like my Patreon reference photos, I have access to a white tiger that I could take photos of. I won't include it because, again, I do not support the industry. It's nice that the zoo is like, we want to take care of this animal, but that means it's taking the place of a tiger with good genes that can be used for breeding, so to keep their populations up. So yeah, anyway, that is my rant about white tigers. Next, I'll ruin the idea of seafoam for you. It is nature's protein skimmer. Saw that pretty seafoam you're walking in? It's not so nice. It's pretty. Someone else ruined that for me, and I feel the need to ruin it for everyone else. Just like the pretty white tigers. Okay, this is probably good to start with, and I can start in with this area. Actually, let's do a little bit down here. Oh, we have from J Street. Hold on, let's actually get that. Thank you so much, J Street Art. Boys, would you like a super chat from J Street? The boys, thank you. Where did I put the treats I broke? Oh, I guess this one. I know, big sigh. One for you. There's the peanut butter one. There's the not peanut butter one. Very tasty. Okay, go lay down. See, thank you. Now go lay down. Lay down. Gibson. Lay down. Not there. There you go. Yeah, this is going to be funny. The boys definitely think. There we go. Okay. So let's, actually, I'm going to switch brushes because I need this to be a little, actually, this one could work too, but I think I want to go to something that is a bit more soft. So I've just got another Taklon bristle filber, and I'm going to start getting a little bit of texture. I'm going to use, I've got this brush. I don't know if you can see, that is super frayed bristles. So I'm going to apply the paint with this, and I'm just going to kind of smudge that out. Actually, let's get a little bit of water on the clean frayed bristle one. I just want to create a little bit of texture so it's not so flat. And I'll put the hint of fur in a couple of spots, but not too many there. Mostly I just want this to be soft because this is nice, soft fur. Oh, am I ignoring? Oh, I totally missed that one. Fly Me to the Moon said, when I painted the fox, it was death by 1,000 strokes. LOL. Oh my gosh. And thank you, Fly Me to the Moon. I'm going to give them a minute. Let me get this in, and while this dries. Oh, I'm totally ignoring you. I'm a jerk. Yeah, see, and the fox Fly Me to the Moon, that is one of those cases where, like, you can definitely overdo trying to put too many individual strokes. Simplify it when you can. See how I'm just getting the texture in there and just kind of smudging that out? Now the fur looks super short. I want that to fade up into this, though, so we'll drag that up a bit. See a little bit more. I can leave these brush strokes showing a bit more. I don't have to blend those out. Just getting a bit of texture in there. Let that dry, and then while that dries, we can get, I don't want to say, yeah, hold on, because they will probably jump up. Wade's making eye contact with me right now. I think he knows what's about to happen. Do you want another super chat? Thank you so much, Fly Me to the Moon, and I'm sorry I ignored you there. How rude. Okay, peanut butter for you, not peanut butter for you. I cannot get that backwards or poor cow will be so itchy. He definitely gets itchy with peanut butter. Go lay down. I didn't realize, I used to give him a Kong stuffed with peanut butter to keep him company because he didn't want to go on walks with me and Gibson, so I'd leave him home with Matt and he'd get that. I did not realize I was making him, like, I was giving him straight peanut butter, the thing he's allergic to. So yeah, that took me a bit to figure out. Anyway, here we go. Let me grab some iced tea, because iced tea. With puppy hair. Okay, let's see. Next, so yeah, there's no blue in this. This is just the way that the white looks. It's a little bit bluey looking on just because the camera, but actually I can show you here. It gives you a better idea of what we're looking like right now. So yeah, it does look like a white tiger. So they are pretty. I think they're gorgeous, but people need to stop breeding those. That is cruel to the tigers. Don't be mean to the tigers. Okay, next, I need to dry this the rest of the way. Again, if you want to own this guy, you can bid on him. Link is in the description. Oh, why did my phone is not showing me notifications? I just got the one now that Nick sent me that I missed. Fly Me to the Moon. So look, Nick's trying to help you. And my phone is, it's like sitting right here, but they updated it and now it's not like, I'm going to have to mess with that. It doesn't have the time up all the time. Why? Oh, that's annoying. It's sitting next to me. Super black instead of having the time and all the notifications. That's an issue. Anyway, let's move on. What am I doing next? So I'm going to start putting in some of the color and then I will come back with the black on the stripe. So we're not just going to leave it like that, but let's start getting in some of the color. I still need to paint the nose too. So the color is just going to be glazed. When you do a glaze, do not use white. If you use white, white makes it opaque. It is no longer really a glaze. It makes everything look like foggy, which we don't, not what we're going for here. So the colors that I'm going to do, I'm going to start with my lighter orangey tan color. So let's start with the raw sienna first. And then I'll start pulling in my red oxide. If you've got burnt sienna, that would work as well. Okay, Heather said she's having issues with her phone since the update too. It's not just me. Okay, good. Hopefully there's something I can change on that because that is annoying. Let's go ahead and start putting this color in here. So the raw sienna is going to be that yellowy tone. I don't want to use actual yellow because, well, yellow fur does not look like fur. It looks like somebody doesn't know how to choose colors. I say color doesn't matter. This does. Here's one of my color rules. Almost never will you use actual yellow on an animal. Rarely. There are times, like if they're in certain lighting with the sunset, the glow of the sun hits them and that may give you yellow. But like if you're just painting an animal indoors, like let's say a yellow lab, no yellow paint is used in mixing that. Like I don't use straight yellow. Actually, raw sienna would work great with them with white. But yeah, don't jump to yellow. I'm going to give just a glow there and I'm going to switch over to my raw sienna. Now, if my raw sienna is a bit too orangey, and it very well may be, I can throw a little bit of black in there and that will pull it closer to a brownish tone. I kind of, yeah, let's go a little bit of black, not too much. That is too much. Remember that not too much thing I just said? I just broke my own rule. Here we go. That is much better. Now that I mix it, so whenever I glaze, if I mix the paint with the one brush, I'm going to rinse that brush and now reload, because if I, after mixing it, there's going to be paint in there that's too thick. It's not going to be thin enough for what I want. Now this looks like it's really dark. I can go over the black too because I've got to repaint that anyway. This looks way too dark. That's okay because I can put highlights over this now. This is a layering process. Everything with painting is a layering process. see, we've got some of the brown comes out here, a little bit down here. We've got shadows of it that kind of fades out into white. So it's not just straight white fur. And then I can put white highlights over that. Oh, I can already tell this is going to be a good one. I'm excited. Lots of water. Again, no white. For those of you on Patreon, I need to do a colored pencil lesson for you guys. Start letting me know now, and if someone wants to keep track of that and send me a message of it, that would be great. But I will be starting it tomorrow, so I don't know what I want to do in colored pencil for you guys, so let me know. Hopefully something I've not done in a bit, or a subject matter I've not done in a bit. And let me know, do you want straight colored pencil? Do you want colored pencil with an airbrush background? Do you want colored pencil powder blender? Do you want pan pastel and colored pencil? Watercolor and colored pencil? Like, let me know. So, colored pencil has to be involved though. Okay. Now, let's get a little bit of shading in here. Actually, we need a lot of shading over here. Let's just throw that in there now. I can just be messy, slop that in. That way I can come through with my white highlights. So let's get a bit of raw sienna for part of that ear too. Just along this edge. There we go. I want more raw sienna in here. So I've got to vote for colored pencil and pan pastel, but I need to know what subject too. That's my other challenge. Thinking maybe succulents? I don't know, something different. Okay. More with this, and we're going to come through and start doing the actual like detailing and shading and all that fun stuff. This gives us a really nice base to go off of. Let me dry that. Wade wants the bad cow. I need to do a painting with a bad cow, but I want to do him in oils because I already have one of Gibson in oils. I'm looking for something that doesn't take me 3 weeks. I know that would take me 3 weeks. But he does need to be a subject for sure. And I'm kicking my tea. I need to move that. Okay. Now, let me do the nose really quick. So I'm going to go back to this. Let's pull a little bit of magenta. I'm going to use a little bit of my red oxide, a little bit more magenta, and some white and black so I can gray it up a little bit. And let's just put a highlight coming right here. Oh, I need a little bit more water though. So like in this case, how did I know what colors to use for that? I used whatever colors I'm already using. It does any red, anything like that, any brown, like just whatever you have out, that is going to be the right color choice. Does it have to be exact to the photo? No. I just need it to work with the rest of the painting. And in this case, colors I've already used are always going to be the best choice. See a little bit of something going on in his nose in there, so it's not super flat. go. Okay, now I'm going to go back up to the eye and start working my way out detail-wise there into everywhere else. Yeah, Wade is Rob's spirit animal. Apparently Joseph is besmirching him. Okay. I can actually take some of that pinkish color and start doing that little bit of shading in here. That's a little too much. Let's stick my finger in it, tone that down. And now I need some black detailing around the eye. Nope, wrong camera. There we go. Now is when we want to start really cleaning stuff up. Now, if hairs will come down in front of this a bit. Now this doesn't have a lot of a highlight on the eye. I'm going to put just a little bit because I like how it makes it look shiny. I'm mixing some white in with a little bit of blue and magenta, just like, I just need kind of a muddy light. I'm mixing it and not showing you guys. It's kind of a purpley color there. I'm going to wipe most of that off because I don't actually want a lot. And we're just going to, oh, I need more. Too dry. There we go. Just a little bit of a highlight there. And I'm going to put a teeny dot. Does that make sense? Like, it's not on the photo, no, but I know it's going to make it look good. A little highlight at the bottom there. Now his eye looks nice and shiny. Okay, let's start. Oh, I missed an entire spot that should be shaded. Let's pull. I don't even care. See how I try to pull color from this area? It was too dry, so I pulled from. I don't care. I just need it darker. It's the value, not the color. Don't worry about like that being the perfect shade. I just needed it to be darker so that I can then put my highlights over it later. Okay. Now we've got some detailing. I can use that same round brush. And this is a Simply Simmons, what is this, a number 8 round. And we've got black detailing here. And this is when we really start cleaning everything up. We'll pull both highlights and shadows wherever it's needed. So like I can use this to start creating the fur, the black fur. And that is also going to start hiding my white lines from the transfer paper. And this brush is nice. It gives me a lot more control than what I have with, wait, no, not you. You and you. What I have with the rake brush. So whenever I like the rake brush, I just don't use it for everything. If you overdo that, things end up coming out very unnatural looking. Let's see. Again, I don't care if these stripes are in the exact same place. Does not matter. Now, if you're doing a pet portrait, then it matters. But for something like this, it definitely does not. You get an elephant, that is way too much. I'm looking for something a shorter, not as long of a project. An elephant is like a 3-week project. I'm looking for something that, like, let's say 5 by 7-ish, super detailed, but not an elephant. I'm just turning down all your ideas, aren't I, Rob? Okay, I'm gonna switch to a slightly smaller brush. So it's the same type of brush. This is a 1/4 inch tack bristled brush, and I'm gonna start pulling in or defining better the black lines. And again, I do not care if they're exact. It simply does not matter. Close is close enough. Way too much paint on that brush, so it's not really working. There we go. And we've got a line down the middle of the forehead there. Yeah, I've been doing something a little bit different on Patreon lately. Normally, I speed up videos a lot. So like if it's 3 hours, I'll speed it, condense it down into 1 hour, but it's not in real time. I've been doing longer videos, which take a lot longer. So you're basically getting 2 weeks out of one video, but then I'm only posting once every 2 weeks. So it's kind of stretched out. So I'm trying to look for something that I can get done in its entirety this week, since last week was a 2-part squished into one. Just because I don't want people to feel like they're being shorted or anything, even though they're technically not, they're getting more. But I have to post less in order to offer more hours of the lesson, I guess, is how I could word that. Again, just really watching the direction of that fur still. And I'll be pulling highlights and stuff over the black too. It won't stay flat black everywhere. Some of it will, but not all of it. Okay, let's see. You came up here. You kind of connect. You have a little line that away, and then another little line. Bunch of little guys in here. Hummingbird I already have a lesson of, a really in-depth lesson in colored pencils, so it's definitely not my first choice for, like I'm looking for something I've not done before, hopefully. If you've not followed that lesson, it is available for you already. I mean, I guess not that I can't do two, but still. My hope is something I've not done before, but that's really hard when you've done as much work as I have. Jersey cow, goose, or wood duck. I've not done any of those. I was actually looking for pictures of cows when I was trying to find this week's project for the live stream. The only cow photos I found that I really liked were the Highland cows with all the floofy hair. But that was a bit too much for, I mean, I guess I could do it on a live stream with acrylics. Where are you? Wait, okay, ear. There's a line that comes through here. You poof out into a weird shape. And you. Now notice right now everything is very flat. We're going to pull a lot more into that to make it not flat later. Point is, you don't want to just leave it with black like that. Oh, I need to pull white. I'm missing an entire section of white paint there. And there. Surreal dragonfly, now that'd be interesting. do like surreal. Gibson, stop. I hear you. He lays there and he hides his head so he can lick his chest without me seeing, but it's like I can still hear you doing it. He thinks he's being sneaky. He is less sneaky than he thinks. He's like, I'm not allowed to lick my paws, so maybe I can do this and not get caught. Gibson, move your head. Yeah, I know what you're doing over there. Okay, and then I need to bring up some of the white. And actually, I'm not going to use straight white because I don't want to have to reshade it. So I'm just going to pull some of the magenta and red oxide in with it. And we need to get some of this white right in here. Most of this will get covered with the whiskers. And of course, I'll put white highlights into it. Okay, while that sets, I'm going to work on this area, getting the shading there. I can actually use the same brush, but I'm going to use the same brush I used earlier for smudging. So let's get some white. I want a kind of grayish tone. I don't want that yellow ochre to be that, or not yellow ochre, the, words are hard, raw sienna to be that yellowy. So I'm going to pull a little bit of the magenta to tone it down, get some white in there. I think this is going to be too pink. Yeah, let's get more white. And a bit more of the raw sienna, or raw burnt. What color is that? I don't know, the yellowy color I said earlier. There we go. So I want to pay attention to where these highlights are, and then I'm going to just smudge them out a bit. So I'm just kind of slopping that paint in there and smudge. This smudging only works if what's underneath is totally dry and you're not using some crap. I cannot say the words tonight. Acrylic paint. There are some that are so bad that no matter what you do, no matter how long you let it dry, you do that smudging technique over it, that pulls up the previous layer. I'm going to use the same highlight so I can start pulling highlights where they need to be here. I'm not trying to cover all of what's under it. I want to get variation, and that is so important when you're creating something that looks natural. We want variation. We want to see all of these different tones. So as I keep layering, I'm covering less and less surface area. Just kind of getting those highlights. I'll get the hint of fur. So some of this I'll let show just a little bit with little marks of fur, but I'm not going to try to fill in everything. If you try to put those little marks I'm doing everywhere, you end up with something that looks like a zombie. Like the fur looks very wiry. This is actually a really good color I've mixed. Like the lightness, the values are good. So I'm just going to go ahead and start pulling in the highlights here as well. A little too much water there. The fur gets really short and aims at the viewer here, so it's almost dotted in, like really, really short, just kind of tapping that. Not making huge brush strokes there. Let's see, a little bit of a highlight here, and I'm going to smudge that out. A little bit of a highlight in here. We'll get some shadows as well shortly. This is the fun part to me, where we start really focusing on the highlights and shadows. And this part actually starts to speed up and go pretty quickly too. Actually, I can use the same color, but I'm going to mix some more white in with it. And I'm going to get a little bit more magenta. Let's pull some of the red oxide in there too. It's almost a peach. It's really light. more white. Okay, now since I mixed so much paint in there, I need to clean that brush completely and now reload it. Otherwise, it is never going to make the right kind of brush stroke. It's just too globby. Smaller brush strokes here. See, it's much more controlled at this stage than it was when I did the initial layers, those base layers with the bigger rake brush. Now I'm being much more careful about what goes where. I'm not pushing very hard at all. You push hard and it is not a rake brush anymore, which means you just have one thick brush stroke. You don't see all the little lines. We want to see the little lines. I need some of this fur to stick out over the eye here into the background. Poof that up. This will look way different too when we start pulling the white highlights. Do I ever read the comments after a live stream? Yes, sometimes, if I have time and go back through and read the chat. But like actual comments you leave, Nick sends to me, so I like answer the questions. This time I'm gonna have to go back so I can see what you guys are suggesting. Suggesting? I cannot talk today. So I'm gonna break this up. Let's get a little bit of texture in there, some shading. Okay, I want to start coming through with some of the lighter colors. We also need to do the darks too, though. Actually, let's do some of the darks first. So I've got my black. Let's pull some red oxide and magenta into that. So we need a definite transition, that shadow coming out here. This actually can be a lot darker too, so let's throw some more black in here. And then I'm going to take that clean brush that's slightly damp. Oops, too damp. If it's too wet, it just erases the mark. So there we go. A little bit of paint and then smudge it up. Brush is still a little too wet. There's going to be a little bit of a shadow there. Okay. We're going to fill in a little bit here so I can come through with the white hairs. Okay, let's get our white highlights, which is going to make a huge difference. Now you may be tempted, you're going to want to paint your whiskers early on because you know it's going to make it look good. Don't wait, you're making your life so much harder. Wait till the end. If you paint them now, you're trying to paint around it, and it's a bit of a nightmare. So hold off on that. Okay, so now we've got definite white that we want to be super bright. I'm going to let that fade out so I'm not pushing as hard as I move away from that light area. Let's get a little bit of the light area on the nose there. I'm going to smudge that a bit, or completely erase it apparently. I'm just pulling my brightest highlights. I'm holding this brush to the side right now to get thinner lines in there. It's a little too thick, we'll smudge that. And I keep having to add more water when I use the rake brush because again, if you don't have enough water, it's not going to work. It's just globby. Which area am I here? So this is going to start overlapping a lot. Okay, what needs to be really white? So we'll brighten some of this. It's a little too much water though, so that's not going to dry opaque enough. So let's reload a bit. And then in here, so I'm not pushing hard at all. You push too hard, again, it doesn't work like a rake brush. It works like a line or a normal filbert, which sometimes that's great because then I don't have to switch brushes. I can use the same thing when I want a filbert type brush stroke, but not always. Let's see, you're that. So we've got a highlight that comes through here. This whole area is very light. And see, I want to let some of that previous dark that I put in there is working to be the shadows. So we just want that peeking through. This really changes directions. Some of this overlaps the eye a bit. Again, if you want to bid on this guy, you have a chance to win him for, the starting bid is $75. He's an 8x10. If not, I can keep him and take him to Aquashello with me in May and sell him for a lot more. Because he's definitely one, when you see him in person, he looks really good. I want to make sure this overlaps the black a bit. I'm going to pull a few highlights out over this area, not all of them. That's going to look really weird until we get the whiskers in. Let's see, you are good. No, wait, more highlighted there. Let's pull that out. Soften that. I'll pull more white with the detailing in a moment That area, this area here gets really light. So that's really all I'm looking at on my photo at this point. I'm focusing more on my values. Are my darks light, my light's light enough, my dark's dark enough? That's my focus. I don't care if my color is exact. It doesn't matter. I know I keep saying that, but it just doesn't matter. Close is close enough, but are your darks dark enough and your lights light enough? That will make your work, like, it's everything. You know, assuming you started out with a good drawing. If you didn't, learn to trace. It will improve your artwork significantly, because it forces you to see things as they really are. Sometimes we have to train our brain because our brain gets so in its own way of, no, I insist this is how it looks, even though that's not how it looks. So if you can trace things over and over again, it will start teaching your brain to see it more accurately. That doesn't mean you're never going to freehand. I want you to freehand too, but also trace things. And I always get the comments, it's cheating. It's art. Like, there's no cheating here. All I care about is that you make something that looks good and hopefully learn something in the process and have fun doing it. I think the people who say it's cheating say so because it gives them a little bit of a crutch. They're like, well, that person's better than me because they cheated. No, they worked harder than you. That is why they are better than you. They put more work and more experience where you sat around making excuses on why yours couldn't look as good. And it's one of the, like, I get in theory where people are like, if you trace, you're never going to learn to draw. But in reality, like I said, I've been teaching this way since the 30s. How old do I think I am? Since the 90s, and it works. Oh, we're getting to those final stages where it starts to really look good. I'm excited. Oh, I'm really happy with this guy. So just keep dealing. Why can't I talk today? Words are so hard. Detailing. Layer until it looks good. If you have a bad layer, it doesn't matter. You didn't miss anything up. You weren't done yet anyway. I often hear people say, well, I should have stopped it, 2 layers ago. I should have stopped earlier. It wasn't done earlier, or else you would have stopped then. So what difference does it make if you mess up something that wasn't done? Mess up, AKA need to put more work into it. It's not messed up. Things are going to go badly sometimes. That's normal. Figure out how to fix it. Like, one of the things you'll often see in my Patreon lessons, which, by the way, if you're not already a member, for as little as $6 a month, you get access to all. There are over, we're up over 400 lessons now in multiple mediums. So definitely check that out. Link is in the video description. Patreon.com/Lachri or Lachri.com for more information. Anyway, if you are on Patreon, where was I going with that? I don't remember. I'll come back to it when it strikes me. I was like, oh, that's a really good way to walk into the Patreon pitch. And I completely missed it. There was a point there. There's something I tell you guys all the time, and I don't remember what it is now. I'm not going to drive myself trying to remember. Let's see if somebody else is. First little, okay, we got that. Nope, nobody remembers where I was going with that. I guess because I didn't tell anyone where I was going with that. Okay, now one of the things that I will usually do when it comes to tigers, leopards, anything, I don't leave the black right up against the light. What I like to do is take a bit of a magenta, and I'm going to mix my red oxide in this case with my magenta. Yeah, and with the Patreon, you also get access to our Discord channel, so talk to other artists during the day. There's a group of us that are always in there. That I just burped because I'm a classy lady. Sign up for Patreon because I'm a pig, apparently. Anyway, you've got access to our Discord channel. You get reference photos. I'm now providing the line art for paintings and drawings. We can all thank Fly Me to the Moon for that. So I'm going to come along the edge with this magenta, just my transition into my reds and browns. And it's fairly translucent, so I'm just tinting the color. I can still see my detail in there. And it makes the depth of the black look so much more rich. Yeah, see, all of those was You guys are remembering I was talking about painting a bad layer just means you weren't done yet. I think I finished that one. Wasn't the lights light enough, darks dark enough? Yeah. If that was it, I talk about that all the time on Patreon. Your values, getting those values right. That's what's going to make the difference. And I don't think that's where I was going with that. I think I was going to work into something else and I lost it. But that's one of the things I'm constantly showing you on Patreon. Working with your values and what a difference that makes. You don't have to have the same paint. You don't have to have the same pencils. You do need to work on those values though. See, just right in between and look how rich that color comes out. It'll look a little different as it dries. But I am coming through, because it's just the way that the light is reflecting right now because of being wet. But coming in between the black, and I can overlap this right onto the black because the black is darker. So you're not really going to see where it's over that. Right now it looks a little neonish. It won't when dry. Okay, let's get some of those white details. So I'm going to switch to a liner brush. This one I think is a number 2. What is this one? Number 2, synthetic hog-haired liner brush. One of my cheapo Hobby Lobby brushes, but I really like them. I don't like generic for anything except tracing paper and paintbrushes with acrylics and oils. Okay, so we need some highlights around here actually. Let's do that and then smudge out with our other brush just along the top of the nose. But now I can come through and start getting some of these whiskers. I need more water. That is not flowing smoothly enough. Just smudge that where it crossed where I didn't want it. Let's see, part of this needs to overlap the nose a little bit, the highlight of the fur there. We've got some individual hairs sticking up from his chin. I want to actually too, so we talked again earlier about covering where the transfer paper is showing. This is going to be one of those examples. I'm just going to take black paint right along that, break that up a bit. Now, if this is nerve-wracking to you to just paint freehand on the whiskers, you can take a white charcoal pencil, and Generals is my favorite, and just draw the whiskers on first. That's a safer way to go. So that is an option. And if your line is just not right, I'm just going to take that damp brush and smudge it. Perfect. And I don't need it to be the same whiteness, like evenly white start to finish. It doesn't look right. We want it to look like there's shadows and such in there, so don't try to make it too perfect. Now, one of the challenges a lot of artists have with the liner brush is, well, making the liner brush work. You need a lot of water. You've got to thin it out with a lot of water. The paint, I'm going to take a second brush and smudge that out. There we go. If the paint is drying or if it's too thick, none of that's going to work for you. You are not going to have a good time. That's a little too thick, so I'm just going to take a second brush. That's the clean one with a little bit of water and kind of push that line into itself to shrink it down. I don't like how thick it is as it comes down here, so I'm going to use more water and use this as an eraser. Let's just push that back all the way. Problem solved. See, stuff will go wrong constantly. Every artist constantly as they're working has stuff non-stop not go how they planned. The difference between them and a beginner is that the experienced artist knows how to fix it. So they don't panic, they don't care. It's just like, okay, let me fix this real quick. I like that whisker. I don't like that right there. much better. Okay, and now I can use this brush anywhere where I need. Let's see, up here we need some hairs in the ear. I want them to be a bit more controlled, so I'm going to use the liner versus a rake brush. And if it gets too crazy, we can just soften out a little bit. I'm going to kind of do a little shading in there, just soften. There we go. Oh, he is so pretty. I love him. Almost done. Not bad. By 9:30 was my goal to finish him, and it looks like I will be pretty close to that. I just have to do a little bit more with highlights and shadows. But notice, like, the whites aren't just solid white. The oranges aren't solid orange. Look how much we did with all of the layering of all of these colors. That is so important in making everything look realistic. I want to come back through with my rake brush. Where's my other one? Oh, there it is. And black. A few of these. I want to go a little bit darker. Oops, too much water. Now when it dries, it looks dull because the Liquitex Basics are a fairly matte color. When I put a gloss varnish over this, it will look shiny again. It'll look just like it did when it was wet. I'm making sure I cover anywhere where that tracing paper or the transfer paper is showing. The other thing, notice that I did not put a ton of detailing and a ton of work on the nose. The nose is not the focus. We want to put the necessary attention in there, but at the same time, I'm not trying to get every little detail in the nose absolutely perfect. Like, I just need the hint of it being there. Now, if we really want to fancy it up, we can get some highlights over the black. So to do that, I'm going to be mixing black, blue, and a little bit of white. I'm using primary blue just because that's what I already pulled out. And then we'll add a bit of white. And same thing, I mixed the paint, but I need to clean the brush before I reload it with the rake brush, because if I try to use it just from the paint I just mixed it with, that is not going to work. That will not be a good time. See, this may be too dark. Let's find out. Maybe too light. I don't know. Yeah, I think I can go with a little bit more white. Same thing. I'm going to clean the brush again and then reload it where I added more white. I'm just going to get the hint so it makes the black fur look a little bit shinier in a few of these areas. You can really see where my lines, my stripes are not exact to the photo. It's okay. When you put the photo away and you just look at the tiger, it looks amazing. There we go. And now I need to sign it. So to sign it, you can either just sign it by, well, sign directly on that, or if you're having trouble like making your signature look like your signature, what I like to do is have you take your white charcoal pencil. Now, if you were using a different acrylic paint, like the crap from Hobby Lobby, their generic brand, it's got a gloss to it. I don't like working with that because the white charcoal pencil does not any gloss. Like even Liquitex, their soft body that dries too fast, so I don't like that aspect, but also it dries glossy and the charcoal pencil doesn't stick well. So that's one huge bonus with Liquitex Basics. And it's convenient that they're cheaper, but that's not why I use them. People often ask me why I'm using cheap paint. Honestly, it just works really well for my techniques. So I'm just going to sign that with that grayish blue color, and I just now have to trace over the signature that I wrote out with a pencil so it actually looks like my signature. I'll be answering all your art questions in just a moment here. Again, if you want to bid on this guy, the link is in the video description. Starting bid is $75, which is honestly way too low for this. I will probably put him on my website for $250 if he doesn't sell tonight. And then any of the trace, like the white charcoal pencil I just did, if it shows up, because some of that shows through my signature, I'll just erase it. And that's it. Don't forget the eyebrow. Oh, good. Thank you. Eyebrow eyelashes. I'm missing it. Yeah. Let's thin that down with a little bit of the peach color so they're not too white. Thank you. And we really wouldn't see those. Actually, one more thing I wanted to do. I wanted to take highlights right over these hairs a little bit more. Whoops, not that much. Too much. Abort. There we go. Just so that stands out a little bit more. Okay. Now let me turn this to the side and I will show you, let me move these brushes out of the way, what this guy looks like. So there you go. That is, oh, he came out nice. I am really like, yeah, I'm very happy with him. So lots of layers. And when you started with the first layers, you really saw what I was talking about, where it's like, it's flat. It takes a lot of layering and a lot of shading in order to get that more realistic look. You don't need the perfect colors. These colors, not exact to the reference photo, they don't need to be. What I need are good values. My light's light enough, my dark's dark enough, and really look at the shading here as we move from the black, how it fades into this magenta color and before it hits the grayish tones. You've got a lot of variation in there, and that is what you want to watch in your own artwork. Okay, yay, I'm super happy with him. Okay. Oh, there are bids on the auction. So yeah, I wasn't getting, my phone's not giving me any notifications right now. Wow. That is, good job, phone. But we got a couple bids. So I don't get to sell him for a flat $250 like I'd planned. So, you know, somebody's going to get to own him. He will be varnished, and it always takes me over a week. Like I just yesterday sent the seahorse from a couple weeks ago. So the person who ordered that, it's on the way. Let's see. So let's go ahead and start with your questions. Oops, let's scroll up. Nick had asked, what type of white tracing paper do you use? Mine is just not cutting it. Very hard to see. The tracing paper is just anything generic. The transfer paper, I think, is what you're asking about. I used to use Low Cornell, and that's still what I'm usually using because you can reuse it forever. There's another one. I want to say it's Royal something. Is the link in the video description? Hold on. Let me see. I don't know if it is. The only way I know how to check is to pull this up, pause that because no one wants, we don't need to listen to me twice. Yeah, the tracing paper doesn't matter. Transfer paper I've got listed in there. Is it the same one? Let's see. Yeah, it's Royal Langnickel is the transfer paper, the current one that I recommend. I don't know if that's what I use tonight. Now, if your tracing paper, the tracing paper doesn't matter. Anything generic works. I actually prefer cheaper, so it's thinner. But like I've got something left over from years ago from Hobby Lobby. There's another, like honestly, anything cheap you find on Amazon works fine. That does not need to be good. Let's see. Snow said, has anyone tried using the Fredrix watercolor canvas for watercolors? I have not. I don't know if anyone else has. I have personally not tried it. I don't think I'd like it for watercolor at all. Hold on. I need to fix something I meant to fix earlier on this painting. While I'm thinking about it, there's a little spot of white that I wanted to take the background color and just needs a little dot. Hold on. It's too small. I would show you, but you wouldn't notice. There. Now it's perfect. Okay. Let's see. Brittany said, can you buy canvases in black to paint on top of? You can, but even then, if I wanted black, I would probably still paint black over it, because gesso and painting on gesso is a little bit different than painting on acrylics, and I like to get that base of acrylics. It's like smoother. It's a little bit more, I don't know. I don't want to use the word plasticky, but it just feels smoother to me, so I like that better. So even when I buy, because Fredrix did, I don't know if they still do, but they were selling, they cut down a lot of their stuff, like in 2020, they stopped carrying a lot of the older stuff. I guess it wasn't selling as well, but they used to sell the black canvases, and I know they had the black canvas pads you could paint on. For that, I wouldn't I would go ahead and paint on it. I wouldn't paint black as a base, but like something like this, even if it was black to start with, I would probably still put a coat on. Well, no, I put a coat over it anyway. Something's going over it is what I'm saying. I never leave it with just whatever the gesso is, whether it be black or white. Neighbor kid said, how long have you been painting? I'm going to sound super generic. Most of my life. I was a teenager when I really started painting with paints more. I want to say when I was about, I've been drawing forever, but painting probably started around, like, I don't know, I was in high school at some point. I want to say my junior year, I really got to start playing with acrylics for the first time. Kelsey said, let's see. Airbrush background, oh, asking for things. Airbrush background, maybe a wolf. I'll come back and read the suggestions later. Thank you guys for leaving me suggestions on what you want to see in that. I will definitely be coming back to that for Patreon. And again, with Patreon, if you're not already a member, there's so many lessons for you. And if you ever look at it, because this is one of the problems I have, a lot of people will follow, like there are a lot of beginner craft style painting, like it looks like toll painting, like stuff you would do with painting with a twist, or, you know, those type of places. They're fun, but they're not good. Let's be realistic. You're not going to improve your art skills painting that way. They're totally fun. I understand, like, I enjoy doing them. But if you're looking to improve your skills, you're going to have to push yourself. You're going to have to try some stuff that's a little bit more difficult than what you're doing, you know, what you may think you're comfortable with. If you keep following beginner tutorials, you will forever be a beginner. And those beginner tutorials, those that are the style you would go with, like painting with a twist, those are all, even when they call them advanced, they're not advanced. They're never, the teachers who are teaching them don't know how to paint very well in most cases. And that's not a bash of them. It's still fun to do, but you're also not going to progress very far. You can never progress more than what they are, and they're not very advanced. So if you want to advance and push yourself, jump into the hard stuff. If something looks like, oh, that's going to be out of my skill level, that's going to be too hard, that's what pushes you though. That's the lesson that you need to follow to start seeing improvement. And when you follow along with something that feels too advanced, you're going to look at your work and you're going to look at mine or whoever teacher that you choose and think, it's too hard for me because mine doesn't look that close to the teacher's, but if I follow this beginner lesson, it looks just like the teacher. Yeah, because the teacher's a beginner. Like those teachers are forever beginners. They never really progress in their own work either. So try, and again, it's fun. I'm not saying you shouldn't do those. Those are totally fun. But when you're trying to progress, you're going to have to paint some ugly things, some things that feel uncomfortable in order to start getting better. So just something to keep in mind, because occasionally people look at that and go, oh, it's too advanced for me. No, it's not. It is not. You need to jump into things that feel too difficult. That is how you are going to get better. So anyway, Patreon, $6 a month. For as little as $6 a month, you get access to every single tutorial I have. There are, because I've been uploading for so long, there's over 400. There is a lot to choose from. So definitely check that out. Okay. These are the suggestions. So it looks like mostly we don't have a lot of questions. We just have suggestions. Do we have anything else? Any like questions, art questions you guys want to talk about before? God, we still got 25 minutes. Let's see. Yeah, the reason that you're only seeing the whiskers on the one side is they blend in completely on the other side. They're there, you won't see them. I mean, you can always, like, I can paint them in, just if it makes you more comfortable to know they're there. Oops, not this brush. But you don't really see them in the photo. And that's, I can kind of see them. They kind of come up here, but I don't always paint them in because, again, you're not really going to see them. They just blend in, and they're coming from, they're mostly in this area. There's his whiskers, or his little eyebrows. But they're not, yeah, you just don't see them at that angle. Oh, I painted them. I didn't show you. Nope, that's the palette. There you go. See, I painted whiskers. You just can't see them. Or not whiskers, the eyebrows. They're just a few little there. There we go. Okay, we've got... yeah, Aquashella. Oh, thank you for looking that up too, Nick. May 18th and 19th. If you are going to be in the Dallas area, I will be at Aquashella with some Giclés. It's the only time you can really get Giclés from me. So that is fun. You can come chat, sit and talk, because I sit there and am bored. I pretty much sit and people watch most of the day, and then go shop for coral. So, although my tank's pretty full. Maybe I could fit a couple more mushrooms. Anyway, that Aquashella Dallas, if you go to aquashella.com, you can get tickets. It is the, when did we say that was? The 18th and 19th. Thank you, Nick. Of May. I should specify that. Of May. Let's see. Flaming the Moon said, when varnishing, I'm getting brush strokes. Blending brush over happens with gesso too. Okay, so one of the things that I do when I'm applying varnish or gesso with both, let me show you what I use. Oof, I'm too old to stand up after sitting for so long. These guys are my favorite for applying gesso and for applying my varnish. So yeah, there we go. That is it. It's just a sponge brush. Now try to get one. This one's like really floppy. I like the ones that are a little bit more firm. Actually, this one's not terrible. Some of mine are really floppy. Those are annoying to work with. But that is how I get my gesso, and that is how I get my varnish. I love those. And you can get those in the craft section. So when you're shopping for paint to go with the craft videos, there you go. Cat's Heartbeat said, is the brush that you're using to blend wet paint clean and wet or clean and dry only? What brush are you using? The one that I'm blending is clean and slightly damp. If it's dry, nothing happens. The paint dries too quickly. It just doesn't really smudge out. But you've got to balance. Let's say I apply paint with this brush and I smudge with this. That's a rake brush. I'm not smudging with that. Where's the actual smudge one? Be an example for everybody. Where are you? Like, this is your time to shine and you're missing. Here we go. Here's my smudge brush. You can use any brush to smudge. Just be aware when you're that technique, it is going to, I don't know if you can kind of see, it's kind of frayed. Like, it's not in the healthiest of condition. But I can apply with this brush. If this brush that I'm applying paint with, the paint is really watered down, I want less water on this brush, but never fully dry. That doesn't work out real well either. If this with the paint is a little bit more dry, there's not a lot of water, then I want a little bit more water on the smudge brush. But the smudge brush shouldn't have any paint on it. It should be clean. Let's see. Dina said, I'm drawing black crow against a night sky. How can I make the crow stand out? I'm working in colored pencil. Highlights. You're going to really define those highlights, and those highlights are mainly going to be in lighter blues and purples. Don't do white for your highlights. You just make them look gray and kind of old. I mean, you can mix some white in it, but you need the color too. Purples and blues are beautiful on the black of a crow. Reddish browns, those tones look really, really nice. So let's say you're doing a photo right now and it's kind of a flat black and you don't see a lot of that detail. You need to find a photo where you can see the definite highlights on a crow and how that would look, and that's what you need to capture. So your deeper, like reddish browns, blues, and purples are going to be my go-to, and I would use all three of those too. Oh, a crow would be good. A crow would be a really good lesson, so we need one of those soon. Maybe that for colored pencil. Like I ask you guys what to do, and then I'm like, oh, I'm going to do the thing nobody wanted. Let's see. I don't know. It's just a thought. Brittany said, what is your favorite subject you ever painted? Probably flamingos. My favorite is my lion that the mane is turned into coral and then there's fish around him. That is my favorite painting. My other favorite is a flamingo. Most of my favorites have flamingos involved. Oh, I'm actually a huge fan right now of the humpback whale swimming over the road. I'm working on that video right now. So yeah, those are probably my favorite ones. And all three of those are surreal. So anything surreal, and acrylics apparently, those are my favorites. Noctis Gamma said, I wanted to ask if you use a paper cutter like for watercolor paper. If so, what do you use? Yes, and I hate it. I have one of those cheapo, I don't know if it's X-Acto, I don't know who the maker is. It's got the handle that slides down, and it's plastic and flimsy as heck, and so your lines are never perfectly straight. I mean, it doesn't matter if I'm gonna map the work, so I'm gonna still use it, but yeah, it's flimsy. If you can get one of those old heavy-duty ones, that is the way to go. Like the heavier duty, it keeps straight. My plastic flimsy things, like, it doesn't cut straight. It cuts slightly curved every time. It's annoying. I mean, good enough, but not perfect. So yeah, I want to say that one's X-Acto, and it is crap. It's old. It's like 20 years old. So not old enough to be good, but old enough that it's just, I don't have an actual link. You wouldn't want that anyway. Fly Me to the Moon said, are you intimating that I do folk art? You? No, I don't know where that came from. I'm not sure what I was rambling about then. But no. Biddy said, would you recommend a beginner work with a limited palette and mix colors, or to have more pre-mixed colors? Limited palette and mix the colors. Limited palette always. I don't care if it's colored pencil, if it's acrylics, oils, whatever. Limited palette always. And if you are really struggling, black and white. Even colored pencil, black and white. And you may think, well, I'm working in colored pencil. I should just use black, like a graphite pencil if I want black and white or charcoal. No, because you need to still learn how to blend and mix and layer colored pencil to get the smooth look. But with everything black and white, you are going to learn so much with blending, with mixing those two. Like, make it easier on yourself. Do some black and white pieces and then jump into the color. And when you jump into the color, a limited color palette for sure. The more colors you use, the more complicated you're making it. And it's much easier to make something that is just lacks harmony. It's like it's too chaotic with colors that you're like, what? Where'd that purple come from? It's not over here. That color didn't mix anywhere. If you can use colors, like in this case with the tiger, we'll use him as an example. The colors I used in the background, the red oxide, and let's see, what did I use? Red oxide, I used a little bit of the magenta and the black and white. They're the same exact colors I used in the tiger. Just, it obviously looks different. It's just a different amount of how much I mixed. Look, seriously, I'm really happy with him. That is like, good job, Tiger. I'm proud of you for being good. But anyway, the colors I used are the same everywhere else. Where I put the blue I mixed to get the highlight in the eye. I used the same blue I mixed to get the highlight in other areas. So my color palette is not that, like if we look at in this case, the colors I use, so magenta, blue, I wasted a lot of blue there. Raw sienna, red oxide, black and white. So there's not a lot of colors, but look how much I mixed. I've got a definite purple from mixing my red and my magenta and my blue. I've got so many colors all over the place, but there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 colors if you count black and white as a color. 4 actual colors and black and white. You don't need that many colors. You're going to learn to blend. So you're simplifying things. You're making sure that your painting is much, much more likely to have harmony if you're using the same. So let's say I wanted to mix a green for this. I would have mixed my raw sienna and my blue, and whatever that green came out, that's the green I would have used, because that green mixes from the other colors. Also, oh, you missed it. Sorry, I wasn't fast enough. Wade was flipping around on his back with his legs in his air there, and it was really adorable. But anyway, that is going to give me a green that would work for everything else. Oh, green wouldn't be great in this painting, but let's say I needed leaves or whatever. I want to mix it from the colors that I've already used. I'm certain that's going to be the right green. So if you're like, which green do I use? I've got Hooker's green, I've got light green, I've got phthalo green, I've got, if I look at my green, I've probably got 5 different greens over there. Which one do I choose? If you're mixing it from colors already on your palette, you just guaranteed it's the right green. You just guaranteed it's a perfect green that's going to work perfectly with your painting. Keep it simple as much as possible. Now, if I'm going to use a lot of green, I'll probably go ahead and grab one that's pre-mixed. But if it's just a little bit, I want to mix it as much as possible from a limited color palette. The fewer colors you're using will also help you to start understanding blending and mixing colors. And this really benefited me when I was younger. I was so broke. And when I started painting, I couldn't afford very many colors. So it was like, okay, you've got red, yellow, what did I start with? Like a yellow, a blue, black and white. And I had to mix everything for that. And then I'd have to save up, and when I got paid next, I could go get a new tube of paint. But because I was forcing myself to mix colors from as few as possible, was I always getting the exact color I wanted? No, absolutely not. But I learned to mix because I was forced financially to use less colors. But that's how I learned to mix as well as I can. I can match anything now because I learned by using less in the beginning. When you add too many, it gets overwhelming, it gets confusing, and things end up a mess. And I find that a lot of people get to where they never feel comfortable in mixing colors because they started with too many. So yeah, that was me, you know, me starting off broke was definitely helped me. Less colors for sure. Let's see, Flaming Moon said it was the sponge brush and where to find it. Oh, no. I was actually making fun of the crafty paint and sip type paintings all over YouTube, that people seem to be convinced if they paint those, they're going to get better. They're not. You're not going to get better painting those. You're going to have fun painting them, but you're not going to get better. So just be aware of that. We have from Biddy Penny said, for the pups and advice, thank you. Did you hear that, boys? Do you want a super chat? Yeah? Okay, back up. Oh, yours is in a crumb. Here, you get yours first, Bad Cow. There's yours. There's the peanut butter one. Good boys. It was very tasty. Say thank you. Okay, you're too close. You didn't get to see on camera. Okay, go lay down so they can look at how cute you are. Go on. Go lay down. Down, Gibson. Oh, I got dog cookie all over my hand. They smell weirdly good, though. Gibson, all the way. And there he goes. Okay. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you for this. I can't say it. Thank you for the chats that are super. The boys know the word. They'll think they'll be over in my face again instantly. Let's see. Anything else? We've got 13 minutes. Anything else, you guys? Any questions? Let's see. T-Dern Ford said, if I painted outside with regular exterior house paint, should I use a varnish after it's done or just leave it as it is? Thanks, I really enjoyed your shows. Love your paintings. Thank you. I used to do that years ago, and I'm not going to say this is the right way to go. I say do more research. I did not varnish it, and it was fine. Unless I painted, like I painted wooden signs and I varnished those, but no matter what, it faded. But I wasn't using, I did use exterior paint on some projects. I used to do a lot of murals. This was so long ago. It depends. I mean, if you're using like house paint, outdoor paint, and you're not thinning it with water, then it should be fine. It should hold up fine, and you wouldn't varnish that. Sometimes if you put a varnish over something, it can actually cause the paint to peel. Like it just doesn't play nicely together. It makes it too thick, and that in itself can cause issues. So if you're using like a regular outdoor paint, I would not personally varnish it, but I would check and see what other mural artists are doing. I don't think anyone's varnishing anything outside. Unless, again, like if it's a wood sign, I varnished that. But but that was different because I was using my Liquitex Basics, so that needed a varnish, so when it got rained on. But yeah, I think if you're just using normal, like regular exterior paint, you would be fine. Just be careful if you're thinning it with too much water, like we typically do when we paint. If you're using a lot of water, that could potentially cause issues with it not being as adhesive as it needs to be for outdoor use. Let's see. Dina said, please draw a tarantula. I can't. I will lose way too many people. Like it is people have a very weird aversion to spiders. Like over the top, I might do a jumping spider. I think I might be able to get away with that because they're freaking adorable. But a normal tarantula, I would have, maybe if I did something as like a Halloween special, I could get away with it. But when I say something like that in chat, you will see all the people go, I'm not watching that. I won't watch that. Like no one's going to hang out with me. So yeah, that's a harder one. Which is funny. I love tarantulas. I have a tarantula and I have jumping spiders. So I mean, I love them. I'm with you on that. But yeah, it is amazing how many people freak out about the idea. Flaming in the Moon said, recommend satin varnish to put over shiny. Some of my paintings I don't want so shiny. I like Liquitex's varnishes, but I haven't used their satin in so many years, I can't say. I'm sure it's fine. I mean, I'm a fan of Liquitex, so that may be I would do theirs, but I would test it first and see if you're going to get no matter what you choose. Always test it on like a sample, not the artwork, to see if that's going to give you the results that you like. I trust Liquitex, so that would be the brand I would jump to. Let's see. Dina said, can we meet your pet tarantula? Will you do a drawing of her? I love tarantulas. I may get photos. If I ever get a good photo of her, I could post that, but like post it so you can download it, but not post the photo on like the group or the Patreon reference photos, like it's just an extra freebie. So that would be a potential way to go. I can't on the videos and stuff. People, like seriously, people really freak out. I don't hold her or anything. I don't want to stress her out, but she's in my office. So you actually technically see her tank when I've been live streaming in there. But yeah, I'll have to get photos, but I have to be careful because seriously, people will unfollow me if I make them see. The jumping spiders I'll push, the tarantula gets a little bit more iffy with people. I love her. And she's a very polite, she has pink ballet slippers. How can you not think a fuzzy, super fluffy tarantula wearing pink ballet slippers is not the cutest thing in the world? If you want to know the kind of have, she's an a pink-toed tarantula. She's adorable. Let's see. How much of your glass paint did you have left over after your 4 windows? I ran out and had to buy more, and now I have a decent amount left, so I want to do some more projects over them. So actually, I can show you with this. Which one? Nope, not that. No one needs that. Palette, this one. So if we go over, oh, I can't go that way. I'm running out of room. Come here. Let me see if I can show you. Maybe not. Oh, it's so dark in here, you really can't see. It looks so much better in person. It looks just dark and muddy. It does not look that way in person. Above the windows, can I show you above? Okay, so see how we have these sections above those windows? Oh, this lighting is terrible. I want to do, this is my theory, and I don't know if it'll work. My plan, you just flopped over. My plan is to get mirrors that are like about this long and do gallery glass over that. And that way light will bounce off of it. It would look like a window, like it would look like I have windows over it. And so I kind of want to do those and just stick them on the wall above that. So I plan to do other gallery glass projects. I just haven't I need a break because, oh my God, those were so, I mean, it was 4 weeks straight of just gallery glass. It was a lot. So yeah, I don't see myself doing it super soon, maybe this summer, but I certainly need a break because, oh my gosh. Let's see. Tina said they have the cutest faces. They do. I have one girl right now of my jumping spiders. She laid eggs. They're not fertile. I did not try to make babies there, but she laid eggs and now she's guarding them and she wouldn't eat. So I had to like stick food in there because she was starving herself to stay with her not fertile eggs, her not eggs. So yeah, but she's in there. One of them just finished molting. She's out. One more is currently molting again. So yeah, it's hard to get photos right now. Flaming to the Moon said, in case you didn't see the question, I probably didn't. From Brittany, have you ever painted any kind of like metal objects in your painting? I struggle to make metal look like metal. Yes, look at any of my horse videos. The buckles on there, you'll see a lot of metal there. And the trick with that would be I need to do some more lessons with metal for sure. I need to find some good reference photos that I want to do. But anything that's going to be shiny, anything metallic, I actually talked about that in the goldfish video that went up this week, the surreal one. Anything metallic, the trick is lots of straight white, lots of straight black, and they touch. And then a mid-tone, a mid-range color. So like I usually will do like a gray and then white and black. And I mean harsh. Don't try to blend them and get a bunch of mid-tones. You want the harsh, light, and dark together in order to, that's what makes it look shiny. Same thing, let's say you're doing super shiny water. You've got your brightest lights against your darkest darks, and that makes it look super, super shiny. But you've got to have that real high contrast there. Also, thank you, because I did miss that question. Which I'm probably getting messages from Nick. Yep, and my phone is just not telling. Wow, I am not getting notifications at all until I open my phone. Oh, I've got to find a solution to this. Thank you for forcing updates on me to make things broken, Samsung or Verizon. I don't know who to blame. Dolphin Souls. Okay, how much? Oh, that was the how much paint did I have left question. Yeah, I ordered, I don't even know how much I spent on gallery glass. I initially bought like 75 tubes and it wasn't enough. And then, because I was putting it on thick, I was putting it on thicker than you need to. Then I went and probably bought another about as much. I don't know. So I probably used about twice that. But now I do have a decent amount left. I'm not sure how many though. Let's see. Oh, that's good to know. Clark Fine Art said that photos can be shared in Discord with a spoiler option, and only those who want to see it can see it. That's good to know. I did not know that. Brittany said, can you do some lessons in painting gold or bronze? Absolutely. And if you watch, you can go and see right now the horse video, like the most recent horse video I did, the buckle on the, just skip forward to the buckle on the hardware on the halter. You'll see that. But yeah, I need to do some specifically for metal videos for sure. That is a very good suggestion. You know what's annoying too? I even have the audio on, so I should be getting a notification every time a message comes through, and it's not giving me anything. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. That is horrible. 9:57, close enough. Okay, well, you've still got 3 minutes to bid on this guy. So there is the finished tiger for tonight's lesson. Oh, he came out so good. Sometimes you just got to be super proud of yourself. I'm proud of myself that in an hour and a half that he came out that good. You know, so you kind of wonder, because sometimes that's a lot of work. Anyway, you guys can check that out. Link is in the description. You've got like 2 more minutes to bid on him. Thank you so much for everybody who is here. And if you can, always share the video with if you're on other art groups and different social media places, please share any of the lessons, because that is the way that I'm going to get found more through YouTube. YouTube does not push my content, especially like lessons like this. They don't push basic things. They push entertainment style videos, but not like a straight art lesson. It's very, very hard to be found now. So yeah, you can help me out a lot by posting about these lessons, linking this lesson, any of my older ones, linking those in art groups will help me a ton. I would love you forever. And thank you guys so much for being here tonight. Thank you to our moderators. The links to their channels are in the video description. Definitely check them out. Clark Fine Art and Joseph both they live stream every week. Lots of great content there. Nick hates editing videos, but every once in a while he'll upload a real gem, so you want to subscribe anyway. And yes, I will be vending at the Aquashella Aquarium Festival in Dallas, Texas, at the Dallas Market Hall on Saturday, May 18th, Sunday, May 19th. Stop by and say hi. And you get to walk around and see there's a lot of artists there because it's an art and aquarium festival, but you also have like, sometimes there will be plant vendors, sometimes there'll be different stuff, so it's fun. Anyway, thank you guys so much, and I will see you next week. Leave a comment once the video's done, you can leave a comment letting me know what you want to see for next week's live stream. Bye.